Okay everyone, so welcome to the next video part of this tutorial, and I promise this is next to the last one. There should be one left, hopefully after this one. I think I should get everything in, just 2 more videos. These are longer than the videos for the rest of, kind of like going forward are going to be, because there's just kind of so much information with the analysis portions of this. And this is obviously used for both the kiosk and what you're going to be doing for the beginning of week 3, when you actually have your buildings and you're coming up with your concept for your building designs. So that's why these are a little bit longer. And it kind of encompasses everything. But when you start to do walls and stuff, those will be shorter because there's not much to those. So if we go back to the Analyze tab, you can see there's this energy analysis. But first thing I'm going to do is I want to put in another mass. And reason I'm instead of using the masses I've done before, I just want to show you something. So when I do a mass, you can see this blue. So when I click on to draw, you see this blue kind of triangle. For the energy analysis to work and actually read, you have to your drawing has, whatever you form or mass that you draw has to be within this blue kind of rectangle square. I did, like a year ago, figure out how to make that. It was either make it bigger or move it, and right now I just can't remember how I did that. Eventually it'll come to me and I'll let you guys know. I'll probably either remake this video and repost it, or maybe just do like a little add-on tutorial as like part of this, to add on to this one. But you can see for now the blue kind of square, it pretty much covers our site for the most part. There's a little bit that gets cut off, so it should be okay for now. And there's actually a setback that we're going to have here anyway for when you do your buildings, so it may not even affect you, but we'll see. But for now I'm just going to draw within that so I know that I hit it. So that I know that I'm within it. And I'm going to just create a simple form so I can show you the energy analysis. So if you go back to the Analyze tab, and I go, first we're going to want to do set up the energy settings. So you can see here, building type. This is kind of like a generic building type that you can pick for your building. Obviously, there may be different areas to your building. Depending on the type of project that you're doing. It could be some areas could be manufacturing, some areas could be, educational, kitchen, restaurant, depending on, what you do. But for this one, I would probably pick, maybe whatever the biggest area is. Obviously for school, look at the program and kind of look at the square footages, that you're allowed, and whatever probably the biggest square footage is. Just pick that as your main thing. I think for now, I don't know what I want to pick. Let's pick warehouse for now. Ground plane, obviously, as we did in the site tutorial, the ground plane is at site, the site level. So we'll do site. Again, the location was set up. Exported category. These for now, these don't really matter because these kind of have to do with running an energy simulation as a building element, which you can see there's 2 ways to run it. Well, actually 3. You can do with building elements, which are stuff like the walls and roofs if you actually draw them, and then conceptual masses, which are creating a mass in place. Then you could actually do conceptual masses and building elements together, but just do conceptual masses. There's actually a video that's going to be posted in this tutorial. The tutorial is actually going to be called Building Elements versus Conceptual Masses, and it goes into greater details. I made that video last semester, so when I'm explaining it, you won't see the exact same site. behind, but it's it's probably a good video to see to kind of get a better idea of what the difference between the two are. Um, from there, from that. So you can do, for now I would just leave all this stuff as is. Obviously it's new construction. The silver space tolerance, I usually just leave that as default. It's kind of hard to explain what that is, and it doesn't, even if it really makes a difference. If you do hover over the energy analysis settings kind of button and hit F1, it brings you to like a kind of like a write-up that explains every single one of these and what they do, but you just leave that as is for now. Build an envelope. Again, this is more for building elements. You can use function parameter, or if you do identify exterior elements, that is, you actually build your wall with you show the insulation layers and stuff like that, and if there's air gaps, and then this knows to take it into account. But now we use leave it as function parameter. Build a service. This is kind of you can kind of start to pick what kind of HVAC, heating and cooling system it's going to have. For now I'm just going to leave it as the VAV single duct. You can pick it up there, whatever you want from there. These, again, the building construction and the building infiltration, these are more for building elements. If you're doing this as analysis mode, building elements, so I wouldn't worry about that. Those we'll actually get into those later on. Running analysis with building elements. Report type, you can go to detail. So this is where the main stuff is. Again, these two are kind of like a silver space where I haven't really seen an effect with them yet. You can hit F1, when you hover over this button, and it'll kind of bring you to a write-up what those do. Core offset is a key one and something that you want to do. For now, I'm going to put 10 feet just to show. So you know what? Let me do 12 feet just to show. But basically, what that does, obviously, if you ever think of a building, the exterior walls obviously get the most solar radiation because obviously they're right up against the exterior, hence why they're exterior walls. And then when you get into the center of a building, obviously it has very little direct sunlight, so it doesn't have a big solar radiation problem unless of HVAC demand. So what this core offset does is it offsets 12 feet from each side and creates like a little core piece. And you'll see, because there's an actually energy model that's generated, which you'll see once I finish this. Explaining this. Divide perimeter zones I usually leave checked. Conceptual construction is key, because if you click on this and if you hit edit, basically what this does is it shows the types of constructions that you're thinking about using, all the different types of parts of a building that you could have. So obviously for an exterior wall, you can pick the type of construction that you want. Obviously, maybe high mass, mild climate, sounds like Miami. Interior walls you can pick. Roofs, high insulation, cool roof, so you don't have heat island effect. Floor, slab, so you can basically pick kind of like the big elements, and kind of assign like a generic construction type to them. So like that you're probably going to do a high insulation cool roof, but you really don't know the make of it yet. But so you can just see, and then obviously you can use this to test what different types of materials would do to your building's energy performance. So that's key. Target percent glazing. Basically what the energy model does is it's gonna assign glass to the building. So basically, if I put this at 40%, each wall, it's gonna make that wall 40% glass. So that's that. And then obviously the sill height, if it's at 2'6", it's gonna start that glass at 2'6" off the ground. from there. Glazing is shaded. If you have this checked, it's going to add a shading device, and then you can actually put in like a shading depth. I'm just going to put 4 feet in so you can actually see it. Obviously skylights, you can probably imagine it works the same way as glazing. If you put in a number here, it would make, if I said this is at 10%, it would make 10% of the roof glass. Then you can change its width and depth there. This is kind of key for the energy cost simulation. So what you do, obviously, if your building is running 24/7, you're going to have more demand with energy costs because the building's always running, and people are always occupying it. But if it's like a 12-hour, 7 days a week facility, you can pick that. HVAC system, again, this is kind of like the same thing as here with the building service. You can kind of pick and choose here. This is something that we'll get more into as the semester goes on. Outdoor information you can just leave as is. All buildings and spaces require so much outside air to be pumped into the building through the HVAC system typically. That's typically how it comes in. So that's kind of how that's set there. So those are the settings there. And the one thing that I haven't shown with the Massons before, actually, I'm going to increase this size a little bit. Let me go up to let me say 80 feet, just to show you. And it's not really a big deal that I haven't shown you yet because it's more for this kind of purpose. And finish. So if you go back to the Masson tab, you can actually add in mass floors. I forget where you can actually put in mass floors. Just gonna go back to this. Okay, so there it is. So what mass floors do is it actually starts to split this building up into separate floors. So to put in a mass floor, you click on the mass, and then hit mass floors, and then you can actually pick the levels that you want the mass floor to be at. So yes, I want to pick those. So now you can see it divides the building into the different levels for the mass itself. So that's kind of key to do for all the different levels of the building, and I raised it so I could put all those levels in. That's why I raised the height of the mass. So now if I go back to the Analyze tab and I do run energy simulation, the first thing it's going to do is it's actually going to create the energy model, which you can see there. And then if you click OK, I'm going to click continue while I'm explaining this so the report runs and then I can show you the report. So this is the energy model that's created. So you can see, this is 40% glazing. It has, you can see that there's a shading device on it. It's split up in between the floors. This is what I was talking about, the core offset that you can kind of see here. So this is the offset that we did, and then this ends up being the core piece. So that's kind of like the cool energy simulation model that's created and how that works. The other thing that I want to mention too, and this is something that you guys may find, and I apologize that I didn't mention this in the previous video. You can see here, see this show mass by view settings. Sometimes if you have the edit visibility, sometimes defaultly a 3D view will have mass turned off. If that's the case, you may open a project and your Masson may be gone. You just have to actually turn it back on through clicking on that. And then this is actually how you can actually judge if you can actually see the energy model or not. But this video is about to end, so I'm going to stop here and continue on in the second video.